Hello, everyone, and good evening. We will start today's session shortly. Before we commence, could you quickly confirm if I'm audible? If you can hear me clearly, can you just type a yes in the chat box so that we know audio is working fine? All right, great. I do see a couple of yeses. Thanks. Thanks, Sunit. Thanks, Ravindra. Thank you. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes for all of the participants to join in and then we'll start.
Hello, Smriti. Are you able to hear me?
Hi, Kalpit. Yes, audible, very clear. We'll start with the session. So I'll just give a quick introduction and then you can take it up.
All right. I think this sounds good.
All right, great. So hi everyone and welcome to today's session. Today we will be covering the topic, the smart skills needed in the world of generative AI and how you can upskill with these generative AI skills. And today's topic will be taken up by Mr. Kalpit. So Kalpit here has over 13 plus years of experience in this field of generative AI. He has worked with augmented reality and also has co-founded and is currently working in the realm of facial recognition and generative AI. He has worked with Microsoft and Cognomen and is also an esteemed faculty of AI here at Great Learning. And today he will be taking you through this webinar and a masterclass on generative AI skills. So before I hand over the session to him, I'll quickly take you through the flow. So we have kept all of the attendees in a listen only mode. And by that, I mean that you can use the chat window or the Q&A tab to raise all of your queries. Please do keep it interactive and ask your questions and please do ask all of your doubts here. We'll take it up as in when the session is going on. And with that, Kalpit, I'll hand over the session to you. Hi, Kalpit, you're on mute. So if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Hey guys, am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Smithy, for this warm welcome. And I welcome everyone to join this webinar. I'm facing some issues sharing my screen, so I might be, giving this special permission to share my screen. So please don't mind me joining this meeting again. It will hardly take few seconds. So I would be, giving this client the screen sharing permission. Just give me 1 second, guys. Okay. Are you guys able to see my screen? Smithy, can you confirm?
Yes, Kalpit. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So I think in this session for today, we will gonna be discussing and focusing upon that how generative AI has come up with so much importance today that everybody is talking about it. How it is different from classical machine learning that companies are now started to have AI engineers in every sort of domain as compared to before, where only few companies were looking into this particular field. But today, if you see, almost all the Fortune 500 or any other company or even the startups, they are having their dedicated teams which are actually creating apps around the generative AI. And then we'll be talking about a little bit about the area of interest in this special webinar. We will be talking about the course where Great Learning is offering to learn these niche skills so that you will be able to upskill yourself and look forward to achieve these high net worth or worthy roles in different companies. And that way you can transform your career from a software engineer or any other domain to a generative AI engineer or AI engineer, right? And then we're gonna going through some sort of offerings which Microsoft is giving, and then we'll also discuss that why Microsoft is the cloud partner for this specific course. And then we'll be discussing about from my business team a little bit about the program details, and then we'll have something related to the live questionnaire. During this whole webinar, guys, I would request you guys, if you have any queries, to raise your queries onto the chat window so that I would be able to see your queries right there and there. And whenever you feel that something is which can be shared at the end of the uh, session, then you can wait and hold on for the end, right? I will take some time to actually answer all the queries while we are going through the whole webinar, and then at the end we'll definitely gonna be having a live Q&A, right? All right, so let's start with this today's session. So why are we talking about generative AI and how it is different from classical machine learning? We're going to spend some time here. So basically, if you see, there are two sort of uh, AI, you could say. The first type we call as the classical machine learning, which is a sort of a machine learning where the machine is learning through the data. So we need some sort of data through which machine is learning, and it is able to either give some sort of prediction about the unseen data, that whether it is qualified to a specific label or class, or some sort of a regressive task where it can tell you what will be the temperature tomorrow, or what is the value of a specific apartment and a specific area, something of that sort, right? So the set of such problems are called discriminative tasks. So we actually group them into some sort of discriminative task, and that's why we call these machine learning as discriminative AI, right? If we compare this classical machine learning, what we have seen up till now, with today, where these machine learning models are capable of generating the new data based on whatever data it is being trained on. So this sort of artificial intelligence, the domain where we are not discriminating the labels or the unseen data, rather we are generating a new sort of data itself. This new sort of data could be an image, it could be a natural language like English, Hindi, or it could be a video also, it could be music also, it could be anything. So if you want to understand what is generative AI, is something like where you're going to feed some data based on which you are training it, and after that it can generate based on some sort of prompt, which could be anything. It could be an image also, the prompt could be an image also. And what is prompt engineering, guys? Don't get confused, we're going to be understanding in the upcoming slide, right? So it is sort of a data or the question you want to ask to this particular model, and the output will again be, it could be an image or text or a video. Okay, so generative AI is a set of algorithms used to create various types of content, text, images, videos, or audios. And you might have seen ChatGPT is one of those platform where they are using their own proprietary generative AI or large language models, which can give you some sort of generative text or even images based on the prompt or the question you are asking. That's where the generative AI is coming into picture, right? Now, if we look at generative AI generally, when we talk in terms of, you know, most of these AIs are always related to human language. Okay, that's why we call these as large language models, LLMs. Okay. So why these are called large language models? Because they have understanding of human language in a very large context. So we have been using all the internet data which is available today. We make it, feed to these training pipelines we create, and then that's how we generate or create a large language model. The large language model is again then be fed to some sort of, supervised fine tuning, you could say. Okay. In supervised fine tuning, it is tuned for specific prompts. So let's say how human being ask a specific domain question. Let's say if I'm a doctor, how my questions would be. If I'm an engineer, a software engineer, how my questions would be. So that's how I will gonna be fine tune it, which we call a supervised fine tuning. And that way we get a sort of a system which could be a single large language model, or it could be a crew or group of agents, or mixture of experts. Okay, so many experts we create by feeding specific domain data. So let's say if I want to create a large language model which is a specific model created for medical field, right, I will be fine tuning it using the medical data. Okay, if I have to create a large language model with the data of software engineering, I will be feeding it with the data and fine tune it based on this software engineering data. And that's where this expert, so it is like, we call it as mixture of experts. Okay, mixture of experts. All these experts are there in these large language models, and each expert is capable of solving a specific problem to a specific domain, right? All right. Now, the best important question here is that, hey, we have large language models. And when we talk about domains, there could be a number of domains. And within the whole internet, there are a lot of domains data available. Then why do we need these experts separately? We can train a single model which could be expert of everything. I think you are right. We can do that. We can absolutely do that. Though, so that the thing which is trained on the specific data, we call it as foundational model. Okay. What are foundational models? These are the models which has been created on whatever world's data available to us. But when we want the questions to be answered in a specific manner for a specific domain, because their terminologies are different. If I talk about, let's say, chronicle mental illness sort of domain, then the terminologies there would be therapies, right? What sort of providers are there? So providers there means doctors, right? Therapies there means repetitively doing some sort of, uh, you know, consultancies to all these people, right? So domains, there will be different terminologies, right? So all these foundational models, we do some sort of fine tuning. Okay, And this fine tuning makes it a domain specific model. Okay, that's where this particular model become domain specific. All right, I think now you're getting this right. Now if you can imagine, if you can imagine when we are giving this model a specific context. Okay, so let's say if I'm giving this model a context, let's say, hey, twinkle twinkle little star. Let's say this is the first context I want to give this model as. Okay, a poem. Okay, a poem. Okay, so when I'm giving this a poem, twinkle twinkle little star, these models, generally these large language models which are trained today, they are called as autoregressive models. Okay, what they do, they have capability to generate the next word based on the word it is seeing into the context it is. Okay, so let's say if I'm giving this particular poem twinkle twinkle little star as a context, what it will gonna be doing based on the previous words or group of words, it will gonna try to predict the next word. Okay, and then along with this next word, when we give it to the input of this new model, for input of this model, it will gonna predict the next word. Okay, that's how these models work. So that's why we call them as autoregressive models, because automatically they are repeatedly generating a new token or a word. What are tokens, what are words? We don't want to go into those many details, because the agenda for today is something which is like a very common to the audience we have today, right? So what are tokens? Nothing. Tokens could be seen as a word inside a sentence, but when we go to the technicality of the tokens, that's where this course is actually about, where you can understand, what is token, what is, how these are used, how you can create your own tokenizer, what sort of different tokenizers are available, and what sort of algorithms are used to create this token. What is the context window? How does it work? And how these large language model work based on these tokens, or the, whatever dictionary they are using to understand the meaning of these tokens, right? All right. So this is how autoregressive model works. Now, if you imagine when I'm giving it some sort of a sentence, it is having capability to generate a new word. And then along with this new word, if I again give it as an input to the model, it will generate another word to it. Based on the data it has already seen, it is having capability to generate the new data also, right? This is what we call them as large language models. All right. If you see here, when the input is given related to a specific domain, then the auto completion or the auto regression happens on that domain itself, because we are not talking about completing something with the previous context, right? And that's why whenever we are talking to these large language models, right, I have to give it some sort of context. Hey, I'm asking a question related.
Kalpit? Kalpit?
Hey guys, am I audible?
Yeah, right. Just now you
Okay,
it
I think
was
there
audible.
was some
Yeah.
power cut. It has resumed now.
Okay,
Uh,
got it. Yeah.
Apologies for
Thank
that,
you.
guys. Are you guys able to still see my screen?
Yes, the screen is visible, Kalpit. Can yeah.
All right. Okay. So since we have now understood uh, that based on a specific context, whatever I'm giving, it will gonna be creating a new word. That's why these large language model are not domain specific. So I don't say that, hey, ChatGPT can only work for medical domain, or ChatGPT can only work for computer science domain, because they are having capability to generate a new word based on the previous context. We can use them everywhere. And that's why whatever businesses we have today, all these businesses can be empowered by these large language models. Okay, and that's why every business is investing heavily upon them. So they are hiring a new team. which are experts of these artificial intelligence and the generative AI, and they can create n number of apps within their business domain, right? That is the reason why generative AI is transforming all sort of businesses. It means that I don't want a specific model which can recognize face. I don't want a specific model which can recognize the sentiment of a sentence. I don't want a specific model which can recognize what will be the forecasting of specific shares, or I don't want a specific models which are only trained on marketing data. These large language models, since they are trained on variety of data, whatever data is available over the internet for all the domains, that's why they are not specific to a specific domain. They can be used anywhere, right? And in terms of making these models more reliable, let's say for science or for computers or for any other domain, they have created several experts. What are these experts? Experts are nothing but these are the fine-tuned version of this foundational model which are specifically created for the domains, so that you will get a very refined answer for your questions, right? Now you can imagine how big this impact would be, that with a single model available today, we call them as foundational model, they can do magic for any industry. You can ask ChatGPT your marketing related questions. You can ask ChatGPT your sales funnel related questions. You can ask ChatGPT, if you're a doctor, your medical related questions. You can also ask ChatGPT about computer science related questions. It can answer you everything. It is not a specific domain related software available to you, right? That's why opportunities are immense, right? And that's why every business is actually trying to uh, invest heavily upon this one. So if you see here, it is expected that 15.7 trillion contribution will be done by generative AI globally by 2030, and that's a huge number, right? All right, I would be now looking at the chat window. If there are some questions asked by anybody up till now. Awesome. Awesome. Guys, be like, two-way. I have really started very fast, just because I have seen that during the last webinars, we got a lot of things to cover, but we got a lot of less time to actually discuss. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Let's try to understand prompt engineering. Before I move
Kalpit,
to prompt,
Kalpit, can
hello.
you hear me? Yeah. Kalpit, there are two questions in the chat section actually, not in the Q&A section, the general chat section.
Okay. Let me just
Okay.
go through it once.
Yeah. So, uh, first question is, how do you calculate the number of tokens required for a text file feeding a LLM?
Awesome.
That is the first question.
So in this question, you can go to any open source website. There is a tick tokenizer website. You copy all the words you have in your file and put it inside tick tokenizer. Okay. Let me answer it here. Spellings you can check by Google. Okay. Tick tokenizer. Okay. There are a lot of GitHub open source modules also. You can directly import them into Python. If you are working with ChatGPT, they have their own tokenizer library. So it's very easy to calculate, how many, what will be the tokens for a specific text. You are reading it from a file or from anywhere, right? I hope I answered this question, right? The other one is, this is on Q&A. I'm sorry, I was looking at the webinar chat. So here the another question is, foundational model is made from LLM. Well, foundational model is itself a large language model, by the way. Why we call it as foundational model? Because it is the first version of the model which we are getting, which is having understanding to understand the natural language of human being. Okay. And then based on specific usage, let's say I want to use it for chat sort of a use case in chat GPT, I will gonna do fine tuning on a specific data. That's where, all these big companies like ChatGPT or any company which provide you reasoning sort of a model, they're heavily investing upon. What they do, they they get investment done on data gathering. and all this data gathering is done by people. Okay, so it's sort of a hybrid data synthesis where humans are also involved, and the foundational models are there, right? So they gather data for specific domains or a specific use case. So for ChatGPT, you're asking a question, summarize me, or do this or do that, and that's where all these fine-tuned models are used, or mixture of experts are created. I hope I answered this question, right? So LLM, so foundation model itself is an LLM. Okay. How many types of foundation models are available? We can't say types. We can't say types. Every other company is having their own foundational model. So whatever model you see around us today, let's say Claude or ChatGPT 4o or any such, or Gemini 2 series, right? All these are foundational models. But with these foundational model, they create several expert. Let's say with 4o or O3 or O1, all these could be some sort of reasoning capabilities done on top of any one foundational model. However, these companies don't reveal that what foundational model they have used for O1 or O3, right? But what I'm saying is there would be one foundational model, let's say 4o, on top of which they have created several other experts. Let's say 4.1 is an expert for your coding, right? Or O3 is expert for reasoning. And O1 is something which is like super reasoning, where it can reason more and consume more sort of GPUs or compute, right? That's how. So there are not specific types of foundational model, but you can imagine that every company create their own foundation model and do fine tuning on this. There are another questions like, is LLM is generic, or we need to customize based on our business model? Absolutely right. So when you talk about, so it's a scenario based thing. Okay, whenever you feel that your problem statement is solved by any of these foundational models or the capabilities whatever these platforms are provided, don't go with your own customized model. Okay, because that will gonna be requiring fine tuning some data, and then what different sort of fine tuning techniques knowledge is there, you would be needing LLM experts for that, right? Until you want to use chat gpt platform to do fine tuning on 4 or some specific model, which is quite easier to do. But again, you would be needing a lot of data and the labeling for that data, right? So make sure that until business is not grown to a level where you are just doing some sort of experimentation for a startup or something, be with RAG sort of implementation. And then later on, when you think about that, hey, I want some sort of uniqueness which is specifically for the domain, then I will be definitely be gonna be needing a fine tuning. So try to use generic models up till you want to prove your product, and whenever you are go to market and all these things are done, then you can look forward for your own customized models or fine-tuned models. Okay, awesome. I hope I answered, Mohammed. Okay. The other one is, how do we choose which foundation model to use? I think, as I said, you should know about the models, that what sort of capabilities it is coming up, which sort of data it is trained on, what matrices it is. So every model, whenever you go, before even thinking about using it, you go and check what capabilities this model is having, what sort of matrices it is proving around the globe. Is it like a reasoning model, or it is just a foundational model, or or it is a model which can be better used for online deep research or something. So it's all these models have specific use cases, uh, unlike Gemini or chat gpt, where you can put in your use cases, because these are the companies which are heavily investing upon the generalization, where anything can be done on these models. But yeah, you look forward for matrices, which is very important, that whether they are, what sort of data they have been trained on, and what sort of experts are there inside these models, and what is the criteria as compared to the other model for the criteria point you are choosing upon. Okay, so this is how you choose the models. The other question is, how do we customize the foundational models to fine tune expert which will suit my own domain? How do we customize? Well, it's so easy. If you go for ChatGPT platform, it is super easy for you. They have a very nice article written where you can pre-process your data based on what guidelines they have given, and then it's just like, a sort of a workflow, and they will gonna train a fine-tuned model for you, right? But if let's say you want to do it for open source model, and then that's where you would be needing some understanding of PyTorch or TensorFlow, where you would be able to pre-process the data according to your usage, and then you do fine tuning on top of it, right? Not a very tricky question these days, because now what sort of code you have to do, everything can be generated by ChatGPT, so you don't have to worry about writing the niche code yourself. Okay, the other one is, how do we customize the foundation model to fine tune expert which will suit my domain? I think I've answered this. Foundational model won't help as every other business is different. As I said, I'm not understanding which foundation model we are concerning here. When we talk about ChatGPT platform or any such platform, their models are created, as I said, for the with greater journalism, where they want to have almost all the domains covered, until there is some domain which is not having any popularity over the world itself, right? That there you will gonna find it difficult. But general domains like marketing, sales, or let's say industries, all those things are already there. You can build solution with these platforms, right? The other question is, will we get the documents for this presentation for lateral reference? I think we can discuss to our business team whether they are fine to share this to you guys. I think every model is having their own description where you can go and check their capabilities, and what sort of criteria they have passed, and where they stand in terms of matrices, and that's where you can make decisions. Or there are multiple websites which are available. I'm not able to recall, but there are multiple websites available, which their daily job is to actually compare all the models and their benchmarking on different benchmarks available around the globe. Okay. The one such was, I think, I'm not able to recall the name. I will find and give you here. But if you find the benchmarks right, you will find out. Hugging Face is another one example where they have metadata for all the models. So you can go and check on Hugging Face. That's the best platform, I would say. Okay. Um, okay, I think I've answered all the questions for now. Let's move on with what we wanted to discuss in this webinar. And guys, please be responsive like this. It is very good to see all these questions coming up, and with this, I could see a persona also, so that I will be talking in a little bit in depth about any concept we will be covering today. All right. So let's understand prompt engineering. Okay. So prompt engineering is nothing but how you interact with these models. Because as I said, these models, what they do, they based on what words you are given, they're having capability to create or generate a new word, right? So until you give the right context, we call it as context, okay? Till then, they won't be able to generate the right word for you. And if they are doing it, right, you won't be able to get the right answer until you explain the context correctly. Okay. And since all these foundational models are a mixture of experts, so they have to also decide, which expert I have to use for what query, right? So your prompt should be well structured. It is not like, hey, explain me who is Ram, let's say, who is Ram, okay? Ram could be one of my neighbor. Ram could be Ram in Ramayana, or Ram could be anybody else, right? So how we will be how our large language model we're gonna be deciding whether which Ram you're talking about. So if I give the right context, let's say, hey, Ram is a 25 years old person who is one of my neighbors, and his age is this, and then I'm asking a question about it. Based on persona, can you tell me, shall I do a friendship with this person? This could be my question, right? but I have given a very right context already, right? So if I do that, you can expect a better answer, right? Most of the time, people say that models are hallucinated, and most of the time it is done because of the wrong prompting. Okay, so when a prompt itself is something where you want, the question was specifically for this, but the large language model replied in some other specific context. So when this context matching between your thoughts and the large language model prompt does not happen well, that's where you see a lot of hallucinations. Okay. All right. For those, what is hallucination? Hallucination is more about when a model is deviated from a sort of an answer you're looking forward for. That's what is called as hallucination, or the mistakes or the wrong facts provided by the model, just because of n number of reasons. Maybe the data on which it is trained is wrong, the prompt you have given is wrong, or the references you have given is wrong, or the model itself is not a perfect model you're looking forward for. It could be any number of reasons. Okay. So when we talk about prompt engineering, it is having two words. One is prompt, other one is engineering. Okay. What is engineering, guys? Engineering means that when you have some sort of things available, how you want to stack one thing over another, and then you create a brilliant product. That's what engineering is, right? So even with prompt engineering, it is a very well understanding of what you want and how you will be solving this, right? That is very important. So when we talk about the well structured prompt, it should at least have these 4 points. One is the context. So context is nothing but a background. You explain ChatGPT as much story as you can. Okay. And then you also tell ChatGPT that, hey, assume you are a scientist. Which scientist? Computer scientist, AI scientist, or any atomic power scientist, or whichever scientist. But you have to specify it so that it can choose the right expert within the range, or the list of experts it having inside it, right? So you give the right role and context. Once you define the role, the right context, then you define your question, what you want. Can I do friendship with Ram, or can you write me a code for this particular problem? Okay. And then you also define what should be the output. Do you want output in just yes or no, or you want output with some specific structure? Let's say, hey, give me output in this JSON format. Okay. Or you want answer with detailed reasoning also, that what were the large language models thought while it answered me this question. So this is what a well structured prompt. This is like a minimum it should have. So you should give a role to it, you should explain the problem, and then you ask a question, and then you also tell what you want. Until any one thing of this is missing, then what it do, let me tell you that. Or large language model, they do IDE. Okay, what is that? We call it as hypothetical document embedding. So when something is missing, the first stage with any of these expert or any of these platform do, they try to answer your question or complete your prompt using auto prompting, or hide all these categories where they do pre-processing of your prompt, is like hypothetical creation of the prompt or hypothetical answer of a question. Okay, this is very important. So when we are doing this step, right, if anything of this is missing, it will gonna try to add it with itself. Okay, so you say, assume you are a scientist, then you are asking a question related to AI. So what large language model going to do? It will gonna restructure the prompt and tell, assume you are an AI scientist, right? But if you provide yourself, then you are rest assured that, okay, hey, I provided that. What exactly I'm looking forward for. So there will be less chances of hallucination. Okay. So when you have role, then you give the context, then the action and the output. You try this while you are going home, you will get a very nice answer. Context is important. Don't give one liner context. You have to give context in a way so that ChatGPT understand what exactly, on what grounds, what thing you want, right? So when I talk about a specific program, you tell the business problem first. You tell what sort of SQL tables you already have. You tell what sort of, you give some sort of example of these rows in these tables. If you give all of this, then you would be able to actually, you know, get the right output or the right code. You will be modifying it very less, right? This is what prompt engineering is, guys. Okay. Now, in prompt engineering, there are a lot of prompting techniques, okay, like chain of thought, uh, context enlargement, okay, tree of thoughts, so many, okay. I have not included this for today because of the concern that what we want to discuss is not the in-depth of prompt engineering techniques, but more to give you an overview about how AI, what is prompt engineering, and other aspects. Okay, you can go home and try to search for different sort of prompting techniques, and you will gonna find out the important one there is called as chain of thoughts. Okay, so go there and look for what is chain of thoughts. All right, I think for now, let's focus upon on this particular part only. Okay. Let's move to context window. Okay, why I'm talking about context window, because this is very important. Each large language model cannot have a prompt with a specific number of tokens or words. Okay, if you say that, hey, there was a question asked in this webinar that I want to know how many tokens are there in a particular PDF, how will I know it? It's a very good question. It's actually related to context window. So what is the maximum number of words a particular large language model can take as input, and how many words or tokens it can create with that input? That is called as context window and max response size respectively. Okay, now with this, what you can do, you can now imagine that how difficult it is to deal with large language models. Let's say you have a PDF which is like 50 pages long, and that can have 1 million, 2 million, or even billions of tokens or words. Okay, and then you want some questions on that. That is really a nightmare. You won't be able to do any prompting on that particular context because the context itself is too much. It cannot fit the size of the context window of model. So what models do, they take a fixed size context, create some words, and generate it for you guys, right? And if the context window is big, you won't be able to feed any input to the large language model, right? So if you see today, Gemini Pro could reach to 1 million tokens, and ChatGPT is having 28,000 token, you know, context window. So our limitation is this context window. So while you are creating RAG pipelines, this context window has to be handled with some sort of concern, right? How your application, can you imagine? You just think freely, okay? You have millions and billions of data records in your database or documents in your organization. We are talking about creating an app which can answer question and answer on that data. Very simple app, right? How will you gonna be creating this question and answer with this large context already available? It can't fit into the context window, right? What is the solution? We're gonna look for a solution. Okay. The second one is response size. I think I've already told you how much words a particular model can generate. So a model can generate a maximum up to their max response size. For ChatGPT, it is 4096 tokens. You can say 4096 words in simple words, but there's a difference between tokenization and words. You guys can understand it, but I want to keep it here for now, right? What is the solution for this context window restriction? The first solution for this context window restriction is called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. What it says, it actually separates your data from model context window. So you have a pipeline which is called RAG pipeline, which actually fetches some data based on the question you are asking. So let's say you have millions and billions of records, and only 3 records talk about my financial report for last quarter. Why I would be needing other records in the context window? I will not, right? I will not. That's why we created RAG. Okay. In RAG, retrieval augmented generation, what we do, a user will gonna ask a prompt to the large language model. Based on the prompt, what is the first step they're gonna do? Can anybody tell me over the chat window? What is the first step a large language model do when or large language model platform, not model platform, like Gemini or Claude or Chat GPT? What is the first step? Can anybody type on chat or webinar chat? No, not retrieve. It's high DE. I told you, right? What is high DE? Can anybody tell me high DE? What is high DE? We were discussing about it, right? The first step. Hypothetical document embedding. This is the first step, guys. Okay. So whatever question you are asking, okay, whatever question you are asking, it will gonna be creating some sort of filling the gaps. Okay. So whenever you're asking a question, it will gonna do high DE, and then there comes a retriever. What does retriever do? It will going to retrieve the documents which are only specific to your question you're asking. Okay. Once the retrieval is retrieving the records, those can be fit inside the context window. Now the question is, are they really fitting into the context window? Yes or no? There could be one chance where the retrieved documents can fit into the context window. And the other is that, hey, even the retrieved documents are so many. So out of 1 million or billion records, the retrieved documents are still going beyond the context window of the model, right? So let's say when I talk about this, it could be a scenario where the retrieved documents could be 1,000 documents, correct? And 1,000 documents combined together still going beyond the context window of these large language models. So what you're going to do in that case? Do you have any answer for that, guys? Anybody want to guess something, or anybody already know what it is? We call it as re-ranking, okay? We call it as re-ranking. So re-ranking means whatever 1,000 documents you have retrieved, what you will gonna be do next? You will gonna be taking top 100 out of those, okay? And these top 100 can again could be difficult to find, because the algorithms we use to find the initial 1,000, right, depends upon how much compute we are investing on that. So assume a scenario, okay? I have 1 million records and I want top 100 records out of it using a large language model by writing a prompt that, hey, this is my initial prompt or question, and this is the target document chunk I'm looking forward for. And asking the large language model, can you verify whether these two things are related or not? And if I want to do this job for 1 million records or chunks, it's very difficult for the system to sustain, because just one query will gonna be now matching using large language model, which is costliest operation, right? Using large language model in any AI app is the costliest operation. Okay. So when you're doing this for 1 million records to find out 1,000, it's difficult. So what we do initially, we use some sort of embedding matching using a vector store, right? And we'll find out the top 1,000. What is a vector store? Well, these are the special databases. What sort of databases? These databases store embeddings. Okay. Embedding means a numerical representation of a text. So many things. I mean, I don't want to go to technicality, but there are a lot of things to go. But let's understand, if I'm saying some news about Trump, it can be represented as a list of some floating numbers. That is called as embedding. And if two embeddings, their distance is low, that means the meaning or the words within these two sentences somehow are related to each other. That means these are related to each other, so they can match very well with each other. So let's take this particular record as a context, right? So with that, I think there are a lot of retrieval techniques which can reduce number of retrieved documents on one stage. The very fast retrieval technique which is available today is called as the lexical match. Okay, where you are matching with the word. So Trump word here, Trump word there, match. Oh yeah, we find a match with Trump. Then Trump is talking about some sort of taxes. Here also he's talking about taxes. Oh, good match. So are we following this algorithm called best match 25? So at least 25 words are matching in the chunk. Oh yes. Oh, that means they are related to each other. But are their meaning same? Maybe no, maybe yes. Right? So lexical analysis is the first step where you can say, hey, 2000 document, give me which are related. Fastest one. Best match 25 or lexical match is the fastest one. And then comes the biencoders. Biencoders means embedding matching. You are doing some sort of a similarity matching, right? We call it as biencoders. So out of 1000 or 2000 which I have retrieved, then with the biencoders, I can say, hey, out of these 2000, the most relevant one are these 500. So biencoders, a little bit heavy operation. And then comes Colbert, a multi-vector search, which is again a heavy uh, compute, but very cheaper as compared to large language models. So with Colbert, I will be now filtering up the top 100. Okay. Now with whatever top 100 or top 50 or top 20 based on what application I have, it is easier for me to now do cross encoders, asking large language model itself that, hey, whether this chunk is matching with the actual question or not. Right. This is how your RAG pipeline works. Okay. So now the question would be, hey guys, we retrieved with all these re-ranking techniques. We have a large, good context created. What if the context is still more than the context window? In that case, we use something called recursive synthesis, okay? Or recursive summarization. I think, I'm not sure, I'm not able to recall, but in LangChain, this is called, this is done by MapReduce techniques, okay? Recursive summarizations. Then you, what you do for whatever chunks you have retrieved, you summarize them into a smaller words, and then you feed it to the, your context for the large language model. I hope I'm making sense here, right? So we discuss about prompt. Okay, you got the prompt. What I'm trying to prove here is that you got the prompt engineering. Okay, you know how to write a prompt for what problem. Then comes, the context window, because we have a very limited context window. It might not be able to help you while you are providing, because in the prompt, there's a good point here called context. Until you don't provide the right context, your model will not be able to give you the right outputs, right? All right. So what you don't do, you're going to do RAG, because context window is static. In the RAG, you know how to do retrieving or chunking. But what about when you retrieve a lot of records, still breaking the context window size? What do you do? Now you know what is re-ranking. Oh, hey man, what different sort of algorithms in re-ranking? These are commonly used ones, and people are still doing heavily research on, how to do a best re-ranking. Okay, how do you do that? Especially, let's say, if I want to search these two things directly in a specific search, right? There comes these companies which are really investing a lot upon vector databases, and one of the best one is called Single Store. Okay. Other examples are Pinecone, Milvas, and the old one which I used to use 6 years back was Fias, and so many. Okay. So all these companies are investing heavily on, how you can search at least this initial two phases, because this comes under retrieval. These are under the boundaries of database. These are the companies, they provide, some sort of hybrid query mechanism where you can retrieve these documents in just one SQL query. Okay. And that's where, most of these RAG pipeline work. I hope I'm making sense here, right? All right, let's move on, guys. We have another 5 minutes left. Cool. Now, coming to a general topic, which is like, generative AI trends. I think you might be getting fascinated with this sort of topic we have chosen today. That how much engineering it is required to even create a well suited generative AI app, right? And that's where, the demand for every market for generative AI engineers is increasing. Okay. And if we see what is the generative AI trend, so the market size is expected to show annual growth rate for 5 years would be like 41%, and that's huge as compared to another industry, right? And here also you could see in terms of billions that how it is going to be generating from 23 24 and then 29 30, what is expected, right? So what we want to see here, I mean, these are the statistics. You can go and search yourself anytime. What we want to say here is that this is the industry which is growing at a very high, or I would say exponential growth. And that's where, all the investors' money are going into the startups and companies which are actually generating products centered by the AI part. It could be anything. It could be a company which is creating RAG pipeline stuff. It could be company which is creating agentic stuff. It could be companies like Single Store or any other, which is creating a lot of vector databases. Or it could be Azure. I think we did not talk about Azure, Microsoft Azure, which provides a vector database right there in their Cosmos DB, and Azure Search also. In the Azure Search also, you can do best match 25 hybrid query, what I told about Single Store. Both are there in Azure. So if you talk about as a big platform where you want to host your model, you want to, create your RG pipelines and apps, and your data also resides inside the cloud, I think Microsoft Azure is one of the best platform where you can think and learn, because almost all the majority of the Fortune 500 companies are with their data is with Azure, right? In this particular slide, we talk about generative AI trends. Again, this is just to showcase some keywords so that you can go and search in depth about how this trend would be. But since this trend is really booming a lot, you will be finding some people in your circle might not be getting job because they don't have AI skill added into their resume. But when they add it, they're getting a lot of job calls. And even they have already placed into good companies already. And that's the difference I think every resume should have today. Okay, now as you already know that Microsoft Azure and OpenAI have closely been partnered with each other from long back. Azure being the investor in OpenAI, and this partnership is such that most of the features of Azure are now having very nice coupling with all these OpenAI offers they have given, like latest models or fine-tuning APIs and stuff. So looking all those aspects, Microsoft Azure is that platform where any GenAI person should showcase their skills, that hey, he knows AI Studio on Microsoft, right? Even in this course, most of the projects which you guys will be dealing with, covering along with me, would be related to Azure. Okay, in the 16-week course, the integrated development environment will be created on the Azure, and that will be free for all the people who would be enrolled in this course. I think this particular slide doesn't make sense for now. I think we have really talked a lot that why generative AI for businesses, which domains and all. But again, I have kept it so that we can at least have these keywords that, hey, yeah, in that webinar, there was something that, hey, every business needs it. So if you are into a company which have not yet started doing things on generative AI, you could be the first person who can start this initiative. All right, I think I have done with all sort of technical stuff, guys. My business team can take it forward until you guys have any question here. uh, to answer. Yeah, I think there is a, a very nice point here. Definitely. I mean, all these terminologies we are talking about, this is not like even 2, 3 hours will not be enough. I would say a minimum 4 months are needed. So yeah, 16 weeks as mentioned in this course. So yeah, cool. That's all, Smithy, from my side. I think you can take the highlights and business.
Yeah, uh, Kalpit, I'll just take it. Um, okay. Can you just go to the next slide?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, so these are your faculty and some of the mentors who will be taking classes for you. So this program, GenAI program, is basically constructed for working people. It's very flexible, right? So I think there is also recording classes available if you miss the uh, what to say, like proper online classes. There is also recording classes available, and you will also have hands-on training for whatever programs that you study. You will also have your hands-on training with it. You will do a lot of hands-on projects. You will do 8+ case studies. So everything will be covered. And yeah, that is pretty much about the course and everything. So if any doubt about the admission process or anything, I have shared you the link. It's a feedback link, as well as any queries that you want to know about, you want to have more sessions about, GenAI, more webinars, anything. You can put a request in the forms itself. You will have a suggestion column in that. So anything else, you can just put it in the QA for right now, or else you can fill the form and we can take you through the process one more time. Yeah. So Kalpit, if they don't have any tech related questions, thank you so much for joining and thank you for clearing all the queries.
Thank you so much,
And
guys. Really
yeah,
nice interacting
thank
with
you
all
so
of you.
yeah,
Have a great day. Yeah, bye bye.
thank you, Kalpit. Yeah. Okay, guys, if you can take your time and fill this form. So this is for our feedback and any suggestions, you can just put it in the form. Okay, if you want to know more about the course, if you want to know more about the fee structure, any queries, our team will reply you back. If you want to know about the fee structure or about the program, how we take on the admission processes and everything, or if you want few more webinars about, Gen A and everything, you can put it in the suggestions. We can take you through. So I will just we'll wait till 7:05 so that everyone can fill the forms. So any other doubts you have, you can put it in the QA. I can take it for now. Okay, that's great. We have two responses. That's really good. We'll take few more minutes. Okay, there are a few more questions here. Will you give attendance certificate for this webinar? Uh, no, Yashpal, there is no attendance certificate for this, but because this is a free webinar that we conduct in order for you to know about our program and how we actually take the course through, right? So that is what we are giving you a demo kind of thing through this webinar. So there is no separate certificate for it. But for the courses, both you have two certificates, one from the collaborated university and one from Great Learning. So that you will have. What is the fees? Oh, fee structure, everything will be forwarded to you once you fill up the forms, right? So once you give up the feedback, if you just put it in the suggestion that you need to know what is the fee structure, and so from our team you will get the fee structure. Or if you want to know about any other details, you just put it in the form, and whatever details that you ask for will be cleared by our team. And still 1 minute, we can. Even for around 20+ years of experience, also join this course. Will it be useful? Okay, generally for GenAI programs, Shivakumar, people join with more than like 7 8 years of experience, like minimum. Okay, so there are a lot mainly people who are in the leadership position used to take up GenAI because technology is advancing, no? So they wanted to cope up with the technology which is evolving right now. So even people who are in good leadership positions with 15 plus years of experience, they still apply for this kind of programs, okay, in order to have a career growth as well, okay, and also to adapt to the recent technology. So it's not about the number of experience, right? You can, if you have interest and if you need a good career growth in the same domain, or if you also want to have a career change, this is one of the best course to go with. Yeah. Any more? Okay, there are still 26 more participants, and great to see. Okay, good. We have a good number of responses. So if it is that, then I think I can end now. 7:05. Any more questions? I'll wait for a second, maybe a minute. Okay, guys. So any queries apart from this, if you have, you just put it in the Google Forms that I have shared you. So this is the feedback as well as any queries that you have, which will be also clear. Okay, so this form is for everything for you. Maybe if you are getting into the course, like, okay, so we will send you the details of the course and everything. So if you only want to know about the fee structures and this, that questions will be clear. Or if you want to have the, the slides, if you want to know about the contents in the slides more, we will make that and we'll give it to you. So filling this form will help you and us also. So yeah. uh yeah, so okay. Okay, guys. Okay, then thank you so much for joining, right? We'll see you in the next webinar if possible. Thank you so much. Thank you.